So I had a dream the other day.
People do, yeah.
Right, but it wasn't a nightmare, but it wasn't like a good dream.
Okay.
It was a bittersweet dream. So most people are familiar with Markiplier.
I am.
The gaming YouTuber. He's doing very well for himself.
I like Markiplier.
I like Mark. I would love to hang out with Mark. He seems like a genuinely nice person.
Yeah.
So apparently Markiplier is a soldier, or I have to kill him. Basically, I don't know. You know how dreams are. It's foggy. Maybe I didn't have to. Maybe it was just bloodlust. I have no idea. So Markiplier's there, and I feel he's a threat to me. So I'm gonna murder him. So there's like, I can only call it a very deep puddle. It's a basement pond. Let's call it what it is. It's a dream. It's a basement pond.
Those are expensive.
Right.
Good.
And then there's like a phone, but it's like a really big phone, bigger than a note, but smaller than a tablet.
Okay.
Okay, and it's YouTube streaming Markiplier's face, because that's probably how he's gonna die. Anyways, so I need to kill Markiplier in this dream, and I grab him, and I hold him underwater, and I'm strangling him to death. Poor Markiplier, the nicest fucking YouTuber there is, strangling him to death. He's crying underwater. I know this because it's a dream. And he's like yelling at me and begging for his life underwater. And then there's this moment when he has like this bubble and this gurgle, and then he has to take that breath because his body convulses, and then he dies, and then the screen on the phone goes out, and I wake up.
Well, all right.
We can start the show now.
Okay.
La 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 la.
Here we go.
It's the Bible reloaded, tragic explosion, like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken, so get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up a new and stop what you're doing, it's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the theist will hate it, like talking to taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So on with the show then, it's not candy coated, it's the Bible reloaded with Hugo and Jake. With Hugo and Jake.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's just Markiplier. It's fine. And this is the Bible Reloaded.
Yeah.
And today we're looking at some more Bible stuff. But before we do that, we have yet another Patreon $40 donator, which is pretty rad.
And it's extra rad this time because it's someone that we enjoy.
Yeah, don't tell them this, but we probably would have done this for free. Today, the shout-out goes to The Skeptic Fence Show. Skeptic Fence Show, if you don't know what it is a podcast and YouTube channel, but the main podcast is a podcast separately from the channel, with hosts Joe, TJ, Drew, and Paul. And what they do is they talk about events and news stories and stuff, and things that have to do with the atheist or religious community in regards to atheism. And it's a very cool live show that they do. They do it, I believe, every other Saturday.
Yeah, it looks like it from the dates on their podcast. And they've had really awesome guests, and they're severely under-listened to. Guests include, this is just the rundown of their last 6 guests. Lawrence Krauss, David Silverman, Matt Dillahunty, author and speaker David Fitzgerald, who we have actually seen in person at SSA East, Hammett Mehta, and Seth Andrews. So, I mean, they have a huge lineup. They have really, really good hosts. They're very entertaining. Very good show. You should really check them out. I fully endorse this.
Yeah, it's very cool. If you like people sitting around...
Yeah.
Just shooting the shit, which you clearly do if you're watching this.
Right.
It's like that, but with 4 people. So imagine
and
Jake
production
and I,
value.
Yeah, there you go. Look, they have graphics and stuff, and there's stuff floating around. Very cool.
Jokes.
Yeah, there you go. So definitely check them out. We'll have a link to their YouTube channel on the screen.
Yep. There's also going to be a card. You can press that right now, and you can go check them out. There will also be, a link for people just on their computers. And in the description, we are covering all our bases.
Yeah.
Of which there are 3.
And if you want to see their website, because links to the actual podcast themselves, not on the YouTube
We can do
stuff,
the
is on
YouTube,
their website.
yeah.
So yeah, good shout out.
Solid.
Like them. Good for you guys as your shout out. Thanks for the donation and also good work.
Well, they only get 1 t-shirt though, so you guys are gonna have to split it up.
Okay,
That's
we'll
what
get
want.
you guys the biggest t-shirt we can get and you can all get in it together.
That'd be cool.
So, on to the actual show. So if you remember last time in 1 Kings, we met Elijah, and Elijah is a prophet of the Lord.
Is.
One of the last ones, if not the last one, because so many people have turned to the Baals after the events of some stuff in the previous section. So now he has been prophesizing, and he said that there's a drought that's coming, and now it has hit the land, and everyone is very hungry and thirsty, and God's like, you gotta stay safe, Elijah, so I'm gonna send you to a place. And that's where we're gonna pick up today. In 1 Kings chapter 17, verse number 2. Elijah fed by ravens.
And if none of that makes any sense, just imagine he sat on Commissioner Gordon's stoop and goes, "Opposite of a storm's coming." I just watched Batman Begins, so I mean...
I should probably rewatch that. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Joffrey's the little kid he gives the gadget to.
I know, I tweeted you about it.
I didn't... Yeah, but they don't know. Well, they do now.
Oh, I didn't know we were talking to them. I thought we were just having a friendship.
Nope.
Oh, fuck.
That dissolved.
I know, I keep getting my hopes up like, oh, are we friends now? No. Damn. Okay. Anyway. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah, "Leave here, turn eastward and hide in the Kerith ravine, east of the Jordan. You will drink from the brook, and I have directed the ravens to supply you with food there."
He's got his own food ravens?
Yeah, it's like Snow White. She just has tons of animal bitches that do the...
Oh, does he have to sing, though?
Yeah. He has a beautiful singing voice. Way better than whatever that bitch was in the 40s doing Snow White.
Hitler liked her.
That Betty Boop-looking bitch. So he did what the Lord had told him. He went to the Kerith ravine east of the Jordan and stayed there. The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning and bread and meat in the evening. Well, you could have just said they brought him bread and meat twice a day, Bible. Come on. I don't need to specify. And he drank from the brook. I wish I had ravens that would give me meat. What kind of meat?
Is it other ravens? Are they harvesting their own kind to support this guy?
They have to. God has kind of a fucked up system in place. He's like, kill your brethren for Elijah.
Is that his voice?
Yeah, that's God's real voice.
Now I have to find an evil Morgan Freeman pic. Say it again.
Go and kill your brethren for Elijah, ravens. I am the Lord. Haru.
Haru?
Haru. Now he's Richard Nixon.
Oh. Okay.
I am not a criminal. Haru.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah, I'm good at...
Richard Nixon needs to be a character.
I'm good at one impression at a time, but I never know which one it is. So sometimes I'll stumble upon it.
Sometimes it's Doolittle, and sometimes it's this one.
But don't worry, if I try and do like Nixon again in like 5 minutes, it won't sound right at all. It switches around a lot. It's like Russian roulette, but it's with accents. Anyway, sometime later, the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land. God couldn't have fucking did a miracle there and been like, oh no, I'll keep getting you water because I'm trying to keep you safe, apparently. No. Fuck it. Then the word of the Lord came to him, "Go at once to Zarephath in the region of Sidon and stay there. I have directed a widow there to supply you with food."
A widow?
Could have directed a rich guy with lots of resources, but I thought, nah, there's this woman who's really, really struggling as a kid, and I was like, I'm gonna put more strain on her because it'll teach her resolve, and that's important. That's the most important thing.
Can't appreciate a sunny day if you don't have shitty ones.
So he went to Zarephath, where he came to the town gate. A widow was there gathering sticks because her life was depressing. He called her and asked, "Would you bring me a little water in a jar that I might have a drink?" As she was going to get it, he called, "And bring me, please, a piece of bread."
And then she said, "I have neither of those things, but I'm gonna have to figure it out. I'm a widow. I'm good at figuring it out."
"As surely as the Lord your God lives," she replied, "I don't have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little olive oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die."
Wow, she is not having a good day.
No,
she's like, no, this is it. We got some flour. I have a little bit of olive oil. Those things don't really go together. I also have some water.
We're gonna have wet flour before we die. That's the main goal here. We're gonna eat some wet flour and go to sleep and never wake up.
Stir it with a stick.
It's kind of like, this is the cut scene from Titanic. They showed the old couple and the kids drowning slowly. This is the one that they cut out. The old woman just shoving wet flour into her face as doom impending follows her to the grave. Elijah said to her, "Don't be afraid. Go home as you have said, but first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me, and then make something for yourself and your son."
Wow.
Like, hey,
this guy's really, really kind.
I know. The wet flour you have, I would like some of that, and then you can have the scraps before you die.
You have to use the sticks to make a fire, because I would like it baked, please.
"For this is what the Lord, the God Israel, says, the jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land."
So he gave her a never-ending jar of olive oil?
Out of all the miracles God could have supplied to this widow who was starving to death, making the shitty food she had that doesn't go together unlimited, not the best one. This is basically hell. You can survive, but you have to keep eating the shittiest shit. Just kind of olive oily flour.
This is like Manna Part 2, but they had a lower budget.
She went away and did as Elijah had told her, so there was food every day for Elijah and for the woman and her family.
Her family of one person.
Yeah, you get it. For the jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry, in keeping with the word of the Lord spoken by Elijah.
That's amazing, wow.
Sometime later, the son of the woman who owned the house became ill. He grew worse and worse and finally stopped breathing.
Finally stopped breathing. The way that's written is like, he just wanted the sweet release of death, and he was finally granted it.
Imagine if you only had oily flour.
No, I'm down.
I can't even imagine what that's like. A paste? A little bit like a paste, but not quite, so it's still crumbly and gets everywhere.
And just, like, coat your tongue.
It's like when you try and make your own Play-Doh, but it never really comes out right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just my experience. I might be shitty at making Play-Doh. I don't know. She said to Elijah, "What do you have against me, man of God? Did you come to remind me of my sin and kill my son?" What sin? What are you talking about?
Her sin of being a widow.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's
That
bad.
makes sense. "Give me your son," Elijah replied. "When a man tells me to give him my dead young son, I do so because I trust that this man is going to do nothing but good things for this dead body."
I mean, it can't hurt it at this point, right?
No. He took him from her arms, carried him to the upper room where he was staying, and laid him on his bed. This is going to be good. He cried out to the Lord, "Lord, my God, have you brought tragedy even on this widow I am staying with by causing her son to die?" Even Elijah realizes this is pretty fucked up. Like, I know you performed a miracle, but then you killed him. You're sending mixed messages to this woman. You also killed her husband, apparently.
Also, can you bring us pizza?
Then he stretched himself out on the boy 3 times and cried out to the Lord. This man sprawled his body on a naked child thrice.
And then cried out, "Oh God."
Usually when this happens, we don't call them prophets, we call them the Duggars.
Oh,
Heyo! References. The Lord heard Elijah's cry, and the boy's life returned to him, and he lived. Elijah picked up the child and carried him down from the room into the house. He gave him to his mother and said, "Look, your son is alive."
And don't fucking tell her what happened in that room.
I like to think when something like this happens, it is based on something that may have happened in some similar fashion. Some kid did die, and some idiot laid on it 3 times thinking it would do something and accidentally performed, CPR.
I think the kid was just a deep sleeper, and then he woke up when a strange man laid on him.
That's not the worst day I would have ever had if it was my personal history, so I'll count that as a win. There was nothing was inside anything else to my knowledge, so it could have been worse. Then the woman said to Elijah, "Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth."
Or that he learned CPR on his travels.
Whatever. So then, chapter 18, I'm going to skip a large portion of it, at least the beginning, because it's fairly boring, and I'll just summarize. Essentially what happened is Elijah is told by God, "Hey, you need to go talk to the current leadership, the king of Israel, because they're worshiping the Baals, and not me." So then Elijah goes on a journey to go find them, and he runs into them, and we'll continue here in Chapter 18, verse 16, Elijah on Mount Carmel, where he actually confronts them. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab. Ahab, at this point, is the king of Israel. And
he's not a captain of a ship.
Later he'll go on to wail a lot, but right now he's in the Bible.
Neat.
He actually is often considered by people who are Christians and also into, let's say, faux history, this history that's written in the Old Testament, they consider him to be one of the worst, if not the worst, king of Israel, because he's the one who got him real deep into the worshipping of the Baals.
Well, they had cool poles and shit, though, and then they burned babies on them, according to Christians. Or Hebrews, I guess. I always see, every time we look up pictures of Baals, it's always depictions of people giving them babies.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just need a good baby, I get it. Ahab went to meet Elijah. When he saw Elijah, he said to him, "Is that you, you troubler of Israel?" "I have not made trouble for Israel," Elijah said.
Ooh, snap.
"But you and your father's family have. You have abandoned the Lord's commands and have followed the Baals.
Dude.
Now summon the people from all over Israel to meet me on Mount Carmel, and bring the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Ashtoreth who eat at Jezebel's table."
Mic drop.
So Ahab sent word throughout all Israel and assembled the prophets on Mount Carmel. Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you waver between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, follow him."
Good point. That's a valid point.
That's a good point, but I would also say there's 450 prophets of Baal and only 1 left of the Lord, so I don't think they're flipping back and forth. I'm pretty sure they've made the decision, Elijah. I think you're maybe not in the acceptance phase yet, because you're like, why don't you just make a decision? Where
He's bargaining.
this is like the version of the crazy ex-girlfriend who's like, you can't just keep trying to come back to me and teasing me, whereas you've been in a relationship with someone else for 8 years. Like, stop calling me. Where did you get this number, Christy?
Christy?
Her name's Christy.
In this scenario?
In all scenarios, they're all named Christy. That is a fact.
I always assumed they'd be named Ashley.
Oh yeah, probably Ashley's too. Ashley's be crazy. I've seen the show Recess, I know what it's like. But the people said nothing. Then Elijah said to them, I am the only one of the Lord's prophets left, but Baal has 450 prophets. Get 2 bulls for us. Let Baal's prophets choose one for themselves, and let them cut it into pieces and put it on the wood, but not set fire to it.
Sounds like too many cooks in the kitchen, though. 450 people cutting up one.
I know, that's probably why it's not going to work. I will prepare the other bull and put it on the wood, not set fire to it. Then you call on the name of your God. I will call on the name of the Lord, the God who answers by fire. He is God.
Wow.
So the God
we
of the...
should do that today.
I know. Well,
And
once
see
we
if
get
that fucking works.
once we get into specifics, I'll tell you guys what to go do, and you can get us some results back, because it's an interactive TBR experiment.
Woo!
Then all the people said, what you say is good. Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, choose one of the bulls, prepare it first, since there are so many of you. Call on the name of your God, but do not light the fire. So they took the bull given them and prepared it. Then they called on the name of Baal from morning till noon. Morning till noon? That's not that long. I thought it was going to be till night or something.
Like 4 hours.
That's like 4 hours. I'm not impressed at all by their
5
devotion.
if you start at 7.
Baal, answer us, they shouted, but there was no response. No one answered, and they danced around the altar they had made.
Okay.
At noon, Elijah began to taunt them.
Oh, wow.
I know, what an asshole. Shout louder, he said. Surely he's God. Perhaps he is deep in thought or busy traveling. Maybe he is sleeping and must be awakened. These are
like the guy that slept on the fucking 7th day, Elijah?
He's throwing some hot Bible burns, though.
I guess.
So they shouted louder and slashed themselves with swords and spears, as was their custom until their blood flowed. Self-flagellation. That's weird of the Baals to do. Surely modern Christians would never do such a thing to show their devotion to their God.
Cue clips!
Midday passed, and they continued their frantic prophesizing until the time for evening sacrifice. But there was no response, no one answered, no one paid attention. So according to the Bible, apparently this is proof Baal doesn't exist. Okay. So if God doesn't answer you immediately, and very obviously, he's not a real God, according to the Bible. Then Elijah said to the people, come here to me. They came to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord, which had been torn up. Elijah took 12 stones, one for each of the tribes descendant from Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, your name shall be Israel. With the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he dug a trench around it large enough to hold 2 sephahs of seed. I believe that's about 24 pounds. He arranged the wood, cut the bull into pieces, laid it on the wood. Then he said to them, fill 4 large jars of water and pour it on the offering and on the wood. Do it again, he said, and they did it again. Do it a 3rd time, he ordered, and they did it the 3rd time. The water ran down around the altar and even filled the trench. So here's what I want you guys to do, and please feel free to send us pictures of you accidentally burning houses down. Not really, but please be careful if you do decide to do this. Build some sort of altar, and then make a trench around it, and then dump enough water on it where it's spilled down enough that the trench is kind of filled with water, like a puddle. Now I want you to praise God and ask him to light it on fire. If he doesn't, almost immediately, then apparently, by the standards the Bible has set for Baal, then there isn't a God. I'll even give you this. Dump water on it a whole bunch of times, then try and light it with a lighter. Still doesn't work, then that really doesn't work, because you really gave God a head start. I don't know what to tell you. This is a weird test that the Bible has decided to do, especially because other parts of the Bible say that thou shalt not tempt the Lord. But this seems pretty clearly tempting the shit out of him, like, come on, God, prove you're real. I'm Elijah. At the time of sacrifice, the prophet Elijah stepped forward and prayed, Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are the Lord in Israel, and that I am your servant, have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord. Answer me so that these people will know that you, the Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell and burned up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the soil. Also licked up the water in the trench. Licked up the water. You mean evaporation, God? Do you know what evaporation is?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so it was so hot, apparently it burned up the stones too, which is really, really hot. When all the people saw this, they fell prostrate and cried, "The Lord, he is God! The Lord, he is God!" Then Elijah commanded them, "Seize the prophets of Baal. Do not let anyone get away."
What?
They seized them, and Elijah had them brought down to the Kishon Valley and slaughtered there.
That's
It uses
reasonable.
the word slaughtered. It doesn't say killed, it says slaughtered, to
mean-
imply incredibly violent, horrific death.
Like he took their guts out and
Yeah.
splayed them all over and then wiped the blood on his face so that everyone would fear him, and then he climbed into a tree and stayed there for a week, only to live with the birds. I think that's what Elijah did.
Probably.
Like the Predator, but really creepy and weird, and not just an alien that hunts for sport.
And Elijah said to Ahab, "Go, eat and drink, for there is the sound of heavy rain." So Ahab went off to eat and drink, but Elijah climbed to the top of Carmel, bent down to the ground, and put his face between his knees.
Did he have vertigo? I don't know why he's doing that.
"Go and look towards the sea," he told the servant, and he went up and looked. There was nothing there, he said. 7 times Elijah said, "Go back." The 7th time the servant reported, "A cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea."
How can you see us? Wait, is he talking? Does he have no idea what perspective is?
The Jews have really, really good eyesight.
Or is it really just a tiny
Just a tiny
little
hand.
baby cloud? Okay.
So Elijah said, "Go and tell Ahab, hitch up your chariots and go down before the rain stops you." Meanwhile, the sky grew black and the clouds, the wind rose, a heavy rain started falling, and Ahab rode off to Jezreel. The power of the Lord came on Elijah, and he tucked his cloak into his belt. He ran ahead of Ahab all the way to Jezreel.
Why does this have such an epic ending?
It's just, you gotta...
It sounds like the beginning of like an Assassin's Creed game.
It is.
It's got
and
the
then all of a
same
sudden,
shitty budget and the same bugs too.
Yep, and then it pans up and it's like, oh, look, it's Assassin's Creed. No one cares. Anyway, so that's the end of this episode.
Sort of.
Next time, some more Elijah shit will happen, and we'll get into that then. But before we leave you with all our normal spiel, we do have some Patreons to shout out.
We love us some Patreons.
I know, and remember, everyone, if you are a Patreon, at the beginning of August, we're going to be doing our first Patreon-only hangout, where we're just going to hang out. You guys can
Interact with us
over the texty texts.
Yeah, we'll watch some stuff with you. It's not gonna be like Drunken Peasants where we comment on something. It's not about that. We're gonna interact with you. You guys can ask us questions. You can be ridiculous. You can ask us all sorts of stuff. We'll have a conversation about something. It'll be fun. We just want to hang out with you guys, and it'll be sort of a regular thing where we get to hang out with all the patrons. And so just so you know, at the beginning of the month, around probably the first couple days, it'll be within the first 3 to 4 days, check your Patreon messages if you are that, and you will find a link to it in your feed. Yeah. And then we'll hang out and stuff. It'll be fun.
Totes.
So first, we have a very special thank you to give to John. I think it's Buchan, but I'm also going to say Buchan, from Scotland, who was actually also a $40 donator, but didn't want anything. He just wanted us to say thanks. And thank you very much. You're amazing. You're a great
cool
guy. I hope Scotland is nice and stuff, and you do Scottish things. I don't know a lot about Scotland. Play golf.
Peter Capaldi from
Peter
there.
Capaldi. There you go. He's Doctor Who.
If you ever run into him, tell him we said hi.
All right.
Next is Christopher Smethram.
Smethram.
There we go. Nice
Thanks.
name.
Kimberly Karn. She's a Pink Ranger.
Seth Boyke.
Boyke? Zach Throop.
Ooh, what a wonderful last name. It's
love
like,
it.
that reminds me of the name of the villain from Spy Kids.
Was it Throop?
It was Floop.
That's close.
Kelly Strong.
Mia Hatchin.
James Grinnell.
Grinnell? Yeah.
I'm bad at this. James Grinnell.
James Grinnell, which makes me think of Grendel. Chelsea Markle.
It's almost like mackerel. You're almost a fish. Cole Lockman.
Danny Emery.
Matthew Ward.
Andrew Cheape. I think we've mentioned him before.
Shope.
Is it Shope? Cheape.
Cheape. Pretty sure it's Shope. We've had this discussion with him before.
Brett Island. Just Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Bill Peterson.
Justin Owen.
The Chemistry Question.
Stephen Line?
AKA Stabbers.
Ooh.
Alright. Just Steven. The artist formerly known as a symbol, now known as Steven.
James Kenyon.
Richard Normile, who's been here forever. So is Steven, apparently. Gamer Day.
Lance. What a strong male name, Lance.
Mitchell Theme.
Atheist McClellan.
Is that your first name? Is Atheist your given name?
That's convenient.
Robert Bone.
Moldred the Malcontent, who's been here for fucking ever on Patreon.
Love you, Moldred.
Thanks.
Reed Reisner. Sounds like a director of a shitty movie.
Angie Ravignac.
You're a Viking. Doug McLean.
Ooh.
John McClane's shitty nephew.
Sam Candler.
Chad Ezzard.
Machi Kaneko. Are you Japanese or are you just an anime fan? We'll never know.
Anne-Marie Gonzalez.
James K. Underwood.
Cameron Dillon?
John Jacnasius Reeves. All you people with your aliases. I have a feeling
I wish I had an alias.
Do we have a large prison viewing audience or
I
something?
think so. Chad Shuggins. The Shugmeister.
Joseph Adams.
That's a boring name comparatively. Michael Eric Ronland?
Ronland.
He's also a Viking.
That's not a real name. Thomas.
Just Thomas. Fabian Fielk? Sandy Colby Carr. Who's capsed?
Alexei.
We can be Russian. Three Dog.
Coming to
Ow!
you from the wasteland. Good job.
Brendan Williams.
Renee, but with like a little accent over the first E, so you're real special.
Chris with a K.
Mariano Molina.
You sound like a baseball pitcher. Carmen Hall.
George, but with a J.
It'd be Jorge.
Oh, is it?
Jesus Christ.
I'm not international.
That's Mexico.
I'm bad.
Or other Latin American countries.
I don't know things.
Henrik Erickson.
Israel Arellano.
Zeke Rennan. I wish my name was Zeke. God damn, that's a cool name.
Jessica Larkin.
Eric Field.
Joshua, just Joshua.
Chuck from the TV show Chuck. Gisli Brynjolfsson.
Grizzly Brynjolfsson, Viking, also a Viking.
Brian Melius.
Carl J. Martinez, you know he's real important because he included his middle initial.
Ephemeros. We must slay them.
Chris the Humanist.
Spark X Cutepler.
Cody Means.
The Motway.
Nathan Klein.
Austin Heller.
Anais Reed.
Justin Fisher.
Johnny Gannett.
Itweep.
Aaron M. Gleason.
Jonathan Barrett. Love you, J. Boo.
Ryan Haynes.
Alan Sanderson. And finally, the man we've all been waiting for because this is how lists end.
James Pyrich.
Yep.
Oh, hey, what's going on, James? Anyway, so that's all of our Patreons deserving of a not deserving of a shout out. They paid for it. You know what I mean? They're all deserving. You're all deserving of shout outs. It's just that these people help.
That's a perk.
These people keep the show running with their donations. So thank you, seriously, all of you for that.
Yep. And so you can expect that at the beginning of every month as well from now on. Also, we are ordering chick tracks. They're going to be coming pretty soon, probably within the next month. For those, because we finally have enough people to warrant, because we have to buy them in bulk.
Yeah.
The last of the annotated Bibles are about to be finished up, and that means that we'll start really pushing out the special edition T-shirts made by Izzy Aminov, our resident artist.
Yeah.
And they're really fucking amazing. I think that's it.
Yeah. So you can always check us out on Twitter at Bible Reloaded.
You can follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded.
We already talked about Patreon, but there's the logo for it because it's on our standard logo screen.
There it is.
You can always subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, but if you haven't, I don't know why you listen to all that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you for making it.
You can always check out our other channel, Unpopular Culture, where we do movie reviews and stuff of, media, not atheism stuff.
And we have Kenneth. And if you don't know who Kenneth is, you should, because Kenneth is the best thing we've ever done.
That's sad. Anyway, so thanks everyone. Until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this has been the Bible Reloaded. And next week, I train ravens to give Jake mystery meats. They're my mystery meats.
Is it just your shit?
Yeah.
I'm really underwhelmed.
I like to call them meats.